two recent events have had a significant impact on worship attendance: COVID and the United Methodist response to the LGBTQ+ agenda. In 2020, COVID kept many people away from corporate worship. Starting in 2022, the United Methodist Church began adopting policies and practices favoring same-sex marriage and the ordination of homosexuals and transsexuals, resulting in an exodus of approximately 25% of the number of United Methodist churches nationwide, and a decline in membership and worship in churches that remained in the denomination. Certain categories were introduced into the United Methodist annual reports that symbolizes the impact of the two events, COVID and LGBTQ+ agenda, on the denomination. In the 2020 Kentucky Annual Conference Journal, pastors were required to report for 2019 and following a breakdown of membership by sex. In addition to reporting the ethnicity of member in categories of Asian, Black, Hispanic/Latino, Native American, Pacific Islander, white, and multiracial, pastors now were required to report members in categories of male, female, and non-binary. This division of members into groups is theologically questionable and indicative of the socialist and leftist need to see people in groups, and not as individuals. Additionally, the category of non-binary symbolizes the denomination's adoption of the LGBTQ+ agenda. Also, the 2019 statistics in the 2020 Conference Journal began reporting online worship in addition to in-person worship. This was a COVID-driven statistic. For this presentation, the worship attendance for one church is highlighted. The church is Christ Church, the largest United Methodist congregation in Louisville Metro and in Kentucky. This highlighted statistic is used to suggest the impact of online worship on the health and viability of a church. Christ Church reports the following worship statistics from 2018 to 2023. No statistics were collected for 2018, so this year provides a baseline. It should be noted that 2020 shows an unusual jump in the reported online worship attendance. This aberration may be considered a typographical error. Even if the reported number 1,400 is taken, though 400 seems more realistic, the linear trend line reveals a future of decline for Christ Church. If nothing changes, in 2043 Christ Church will average approximately 300 in-person worship attenders per week, and between 250 and 450, 350 midpoint, online worship attenders per week. This projection is tragic. 3 comments must be made about these statistics. First, the public statistical reports are published yearly in the Kentucky Annual Conference Journals. These journals are for the annual conferences held every year around June. The public journals may be found on the Kentucky Annual Conference website, kyumc.org. The journals that are currently posted are from 2006 to 2024. Second, there is a lag in the published information. For example, the statistics that appear in the journal for the conference held on 10 to 12 June 2024 are from calendar year 2023. The information is 6 months old when it is first made public. Third, closing churches does not improve the overall membership or worship attendance. Churches, when they are closed, usually have collapsed and their membership and worship attendance are minimal. The remaining churches continue to decline or decay. There is another concerning development within Louisville Metro. Membership and worship attendance are flowing toward the 5 largest congregations in the county. The top 3, maybe 4, churches in the county are rapidly coming to dominate and separate United Methodism into 2 groups in Louisville Metro, a statistical Timberline. The top 3 church for in-person worship from 1973 to 2023 have been consistently Christ Church, St. Paul, and Middletown, all in the East End. This study projects that if nothing changes, these 3 churches will have more than half of the in-person worship attendance in United Methodist congregations by 2043. St. Matthew's Church may enter the top 3 at some time, but this will not change the trend of the top 3 churches compiling and increasing percentage of the whole. The United Methodist Church in Louisville Metro is settling into 3, and possibly 5, large silos and vacating the less affluent areas, South End and West End, in the community. The center of mass for the United Methodist Church in Louisville Metro is moving eastward. As the presence of the United Methodist Church declines, so does its visibility and influence in the community. The population of Louisville Metro in 2033 will be 8.2 million. While this growth in the population is occurring, the United Methodist Church is declining in number of members and worship attendance. It is projected that in 2033 there will be 3 United Methodist churches per 100,000 persons in Louisville Metro. Membership and attendance will be centered increasingly in 3 congregations in the East End. This study predicts that if nothing changes for the positive, in 2033 the congregations of the United Methodist Church in Louisville Metro shall be 2 churches in the West End, Breath of Life and Genesis. A total of 4 churches in the South End, Amazing Grace, Bethany, Epworth, and Mosaic. And 12 churches in the East End, Audubon Park, Buechel, Christ Church, Coke Memorial, Crescent Hill, Fern Creek, Jeffersontown, Middletown, Revolution, St. Matthew's, St. Paul, and Watkins Memorial.